Hey everyone.
Hi.
We're the WW Gays.
I'm Jean-Luc.
And I'm Nick.
And today is
Bell Let's Talk Day. Which we thought we'd do a video about this because we really feel...
We think this is a huge part of our journey and everybody's journey. When you're on a wellness journey, mental health really affects you. Because you've had mental health... We've had mental health issues our entire life.
We still do.
And we've always said this, and we've said this several times. WW or losing weight or being healthy does not eliminate and remove all the mental health issues. It does help quite a bit.
Yeah.
And going to the gym is fantastic for mental health.
Yeah.
But you still have those days and those moments where, you you really need to...
Where some days you just
take a day off.
Yeah. Sometimes your mind gets the best of you.
Exactly.
And that's sometimes you just have to take that time to readjust and figure out what you need to do to try to get out of that.
Talk to someone if you can.
So
I think that's why they say it's Bell.
So Bell Let's Talk. It started by Bell a few years ago, and basically, from what I know, is throughout the day today, if you use if you call from
their phone.
Call from a Bell cell phone. If you use a number from the Bell cell phone, call long distance. If you text, if you go on Twitter, Facebook, and use the hashtag Bell Let's Talk. If you go on Instagram or Snapchat, there's all ways that you can help support Bell Let's Talk, which is for mental illness. It's
basically they donate all the money, if I'm not mistaken, from the proceeds that they earn from that day to mental health issues.
Yeah. So we actually thought today we would talk to you about mental health, some tips of what you should always do if you don't know how to handle it from other people. So this came actually from the Bell Let's Talk website, and then actually we're each both going to talk about our own mental health issues. We both have certain issues that we still deal with to this day, and so we thought we'd talk about them because maybe some of you guys out there have your own mental health issues. And I also want to say, because everybody only usually sees us happy, right?
Yes, exactly.
You guys see us always at our best. You do see us at our best.
I didn't realize I had a little kitty back there.
You see us at our best. You see us on our videos when we're happy. You see us at workshops when we're happy. But there's some days where we don't post, and some of those days are dark days where we are having either issues together or issues one of us is having an issue. So it does happen even to us.
Don't look at it this way. We don't sit there and argue all the time. We're very much usually who you see on film. Guess what? We don't record 24 hours a day.
Yeah, every couple.
We have our ups and downs. We have our disagreements.
If you guys were watching us 24/7, you would definitely see us.
If we were on a reality show, it might be a little bit different.
Yeah. So let's talk about the 5 things that matter from the Bell Let's Talk website. So if you Google Bell Let's Talk, you can get all this information as well. So the first thing is language matters. So make sure when you describe the issues, you don't use derogatory words. Because sometimes people say, oh, they're crazy. That's not really constructive. Try to make sure you use the right language when you're discussing certain topics. If you don't know the word, research it.
And if you're talking to someone who has mental health issues, ask them the appropriate questions.
Yeah.
I think what ends up happening is the language that you use without insulting can get you educated, and that's
actually the second point here, is be kind. So be kind. So if you're speaking to someone and you're trying to understand, don't put them down. Try to make sure you try to understand what their problems are, because everyone deals with this stuff. So the fact that we're not, as a society, just trying to help each other out to go through this stuff is something that's really sad.
Well, and the fact that people deny that there are mental health issues out there is very sad and unfortunate, because they're very much out there. There's definitely issues there.
And the next point is talk about it, which is what we're doing today.
What we're doing.
And we talk about it with family and friends as well.
Talking about it doesn't always mean talking to someone. Take a journal, write it out. Get your feelings out on paper so that way you can actually disassociate from them from sometimes.
And the next point is to educate yourself, which is kind of what we've been talking since the beginning of these five items. If you're talking to someone that has something, ask them questions. Ask them what it's about. If you don't feel comfortable asking, go online, Google it. There's a lot of ways to research. I'm sure
your local community centers, public libraries, doctors' offices will have all sorts of information on that.
And the last one is to talk about it, which again, it's already on there
twice. I think they did it on purpose.
Talk about it. So
because you have to talk about it no matter what.
Yeah, no matter what, you have to talk about it. And that's what we're going to do now. We're each going to kind of share our certain things that we know that we each have. So, Jean-Luc, I was going to make you go first, according to the synopsis of the episode.
There's some disorganization here, but anyways, I'll go first. mental health issues. I can honestly say, I mean, I'm going to be as honest as possible right now. I come from your typical family. I don't want to say normal because I don't believe in the word normal, but I come from your typical family. My parents are still together to this day after 50 years of marriage. I didn't have a split family, so I was very lucky growing up in that type of family. Religion was very huge in my family and still is to this day with my parents and
almost all your relatives
and
too.
all my relatives, and I love and respect them. I've stepped away from the church, first of all, knowing that I'm a gay man. Coming out as a gay person, I felt that I was looked at differently and I wasn't being accepted. And I will say, as much as the Catholic religion has come a long way, and I don't want this to be a religion thing, there's still a lot of progress that needs to be made. And I think a lot of my mental health issues stem from having this connotation back in my head since I was a little child that it was bad being gay, it was wrong being gay. And because of that, I turned to food, and I turned to I was bullied as a child for being more feminine than masculine, and I even remember many times people coming up to me as a child and asking me, "Are you a boy or a girl?" And that really was a really hard point in my life. I never questioned that in myself. I always knew I was a boy, and I didn't ever feel I needed to express myself as a girl, but I had feminine mannerisms, I guess, and my voice was higher, and being teased about that really, really affected me for all of my entire years of high school, and even as an adult, even getting phone calls as an adult and picking up the phone and hearing "yes ma'am" and things like that. Like it plays with your brain. It really honestly does. And then on top of that, being overweight my entire life, being the chubby kid that could never play sports, that can never do anything, so I was teased about that as well. The only thing I could do as a child was sing, so I did get praise for my singing, but even at that, it got to the point where other school kids would make fun of me because I was the one that was always being picked. So not only was I now the fat kid.
You told us the story the other day where you refused to do something because everybody was...
I had been asked to sing at my grade 8 graduation, and they all went. I remember this specifically this day. They had asked me in front of the classmates, and every single one of my classmates went, him again? And I started crying in front of the class. I was like, I refused to sing, and I would not sing at my grade 8 graduation because I felt like, once again, I was damned if I did and damned if I don't. So, I mean, I've had a lot of mental health issues, and now even to this day, a lot of it stems from my being obese at one point, and now being thin and trying to figure out who I am. Not who I am, but how I've changed, and the differences that people are treating me differently now, but yet, which I find unfortunate because we should be treating everybody equally no matter what size, color, skin, race, religion. It doesn't matter. We're all equal human beings.
Yeah.
We all put clothes on and go to work every day.
There's another one that you forgot to mention that you have. Hypochondria.
And I am a hypochondriac as well, which is another mental health issue where I'm nowhere near as bad as I used to be. And I was saying this yesterday that when I was overweight and when I was at my biggest, every single part of my body.
Every September, I knew
I would go through a very bad depression.
The summer would end, and he would go through a bad depression because he thought he was sick.
It was hard to focus, and I can't believe I worked through all of that. And I was at work on days.
You went through it this year, and you didn't.
And not only that, with the job that I have, it was tough because other people were talking about their ailments and sicknesses and things like that, and I would then automatically absorb all of that information into me and then associate myself because I have the same pain they had. I'd have that pain. And it was strenuous on myself as an individual and strenuous on Nick for having to put up with me that way.
Yeah.
I'm getting a phone call, but I don't care.
So, that's pretty much, I don't think there's anything else that I've ever seen. Like, you do get depressed sometimes.
I get depressed sometimes, and sometimes, you know what? I'll be honest, for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
Like, there's days where I cannot explain to you what the reason is that I'm feeling down or I'm feeling upset or what it is, and it just hits. And when it hits, it's tough to get out of it. But I have Nick, and Nick is a really good support. we try to talk to each other as much as we possibly can. That's one thing I will. Well, not one thing. My parents have given me a lot, but the one thing I do know is they've always said communication is key, and you need to communicate. And sometimes you need to learn how to communicate.
That's one of the things we actually do. We're not allowed to go to bed angry.
No.
Every time we have a fight, so we bicker, like any couple.
And you guys see us bicker all
and
the time.
that to us is not fighting. But when we actually fight, usually there's yelling and crying, and I usually cry. And
I've cried.
But eventually, we always end up talking about it before we go to bed that night, because we don't.
I don't want to go to bed angry.
Yeah, we don't want to go to bed angry, so we always try to work through
and
our problems.
that's something my parents have always said too. They don't go to bed angry.
Yeah, my parents weren't like that.
Yeah.
No, my parents were not like that. So I guess I could talk about my. So I come from a family that my mom and I guess I'll call him my father, divorced when I was very young. When I was really young, my mom remarried to my dad, the man who I consider my dad, and but that whole childhood divorce thing, and everybody always says, oh, it's always worse with the kids. It is. There's a lot of my issues that I've had as an adult were stemming from that. I have a lot of trust issues. I don't trust people.
I'm afraid to be abandoned.
I'm always afraid to be abandoned. I'm always afraid that people don't like me, because throughout my whole life, I feel like people have just left and not really cared about what happened to me.
I'm still here.
Yeah, he's still here. Until him. And well, my mom and my sister and my dad, of course, but I mean everybody else.
And your brothers, your stepbrothers.
Yeah. And so it pretty much, because of all the trust issues and all that, and also what happened is when I was a young kid, I moved from Quebec to Ontario. And when I moved to Ontario, I didn't know English. I spoke only French. And so I was 10 years old. I was put in primary school, a French primary school, but everybody in the schoolyard and on the streets spoke English.
I'm from Ontario. We spoke English outside and French in the classroom sometimes when the teachers were watching us.
So because of that, I was teased a lot. I was bullied because I didn't know English well. And then I was also bullied because of my weight. From grade 4 to grade 7, it happened all the time. And then when I finally switched schools for junior high, I was then teased because people were calling me gay. At the time, I didn't know I was. And
I think you knew, but you just didn't know how to. You didn't know what it was, and you didn't know how to express it.
Yeah. So,
because I mean, you've even said since you were a 5-year-old.
I've never been attracted to women.
You remember boys always were like, "Ooh, that's interesting."
I've always had a crush on guys. Never had them on girls when I was growing up, and so all that bullying and everything led me to my teenagehood, where I was depressed a lot.
And you were overweight.
I was overweight. I did contemplate suicide. It was not a fun time. Sometimes I always tell him I wish I could go back and tell myself that things will be okay, because then all that thing I went through would be a lot easier. And I know I'm not the only one that's gone through this. I know a lot of people probably watching this have been bullied, or people being bullied today.
But you can't do a comparison.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, honestly, everybody's story is everybody's story, and what everybody goes through cannot be compared. I'm a firm believer in not one story is worse than another. I think some experiences can be a lot harder than others, but everybody really understands that
their own experience.
It's their own experience, and it's how you. How you end up feeling from that experience.
So I came out when I was 25.
Yeah, I think we were the same age, we said.
Or 24 or something like that. I don't remember the exact age anymore. It's kind of muddied.
It was a long time ago.
And I came out because the night before, I finally told someone I was at my lowest, and I needed to tell someone, because otherwise I would not keep going anymore. So I told my best friend at the time, and since then was able to tell other people, and that whole aspect of me being gay, that whole shame of that kind of went away. So I started liking myself a bit more. Mm-hmm. And then I still was shy, though. When I met Jean-Luc, I had no social life. I was basically a computer nerd. I stayed at home all the time playing online games and did not.
I didn't let him do that.
Yeah.
Anymore. So
when I met him, he started pulling me out of my shell, bringing me out, and I still was shy.
Very much so.
Until recently, the last year when after losing the weight and starting.
He was never shy with people he knew.
Yeah, it's people I didn't know.
Strangers.
Yeah, it was strangers.
Like from like going to meetings.
I would never speak in front of meetings. Ever.
Never, ever do any of that stuff, or even like have a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I would never have done that before.
He would have controlled a game online, he would have created an entire
or been behind the scenes,
surreal, or behind the scenes. But
and then another thing that's my main. That's kind of my story. So nowadays, the only two things I really have issues with, I have a lot of anxiety.
We both do.
I often have issues where if I have to go to work and I know something's coming up, I get really anxious about it and I get really nervous and I can't really function well. So we do have a prescription for anxiety medication.
And that's me when I travel.
Yeah.
When I travel, I get very anxious for no reason. There's no reason to get anxious, and I get really anxious about travel.
So we don't take it all the time. We take it only when we know something's coming up that's going to cause us to have anxiety. And another thing that affects me more often than him, is depression. Yeah. Especially in winter. I have a huge issue with once in this November, December. You guys probably noticed in December, we didn't go to the gym as much. We didn't post as much. But both of us were basically, it's our hibernation month. We don't do much. We tend to recluse ourselves a bit more. We're not as happy as we normally are. Usually in January, it gets better, and it has.
Yeah.
It's
brighter out. Yeah. It's not the same anymore.
Like, we know summer's coming, so it kind of helps out.
But unfortunately, with all the snow that we've gotten last week,
it's been rough.
It has been rough.
But we always try to help each other out. We talk about it to each other so that we can help each other out. And some of our close family and friends, like my mom, knows that I still have issues with depression at times.
I talked to my mom about it as well.
Yes.
I mean, I will say this. We do have fantastic support as far as family goes. But if your friends are your family, reach out. Reach out. Even if you want to reach out, I'm sure someone at your WW meeting.
And I kind of want to end this. So support Bell Let's Talk. Like we said, you can have all these ways you can support it today to have money to help raise money for mental awareness. We're going to do our part. We're going to tag and hashtag all this as well,
as much as we possibly can.
And don't forget this. I want to leave it on this note. People,
we have to be honest. I'm actually not. This is we have to be. Honest,
this is being filmed.
This is being filmed early.
Yeah, this is of course.
I'm technically I'm technically
right
away.
Now,
I'm away at work. I'm away and out of the country right now.
Yeah, but I will end it on this. So everybody who's met us or has seen our videos, who has met us in meetings, have always said how positive and how we help people out and how we have such good energy. It doesn't come without having our own baggage. We do have our own issues, and that's why I want to kind of tell you guys that we might look happy.
We want to be as transparent as we possibly can with you guys to know that there are times where we are not in the same state.
Sometimes I feel like I answer crankily to people sometimes because I'm not in a good headspace.
And not only that, sometimes it is in text message and text comments. It's so hard to understand what someone is trying to say. Yeah. So there could be a lot of misunderstandings. So if ever there's a comment that's made that offended you or upset you in any way, please reach out and let us know, so we won't that we know that we can maybe explain ourselves better. Okay, I think that's really important, because never do we ever want to leave a comment out there to make someone feel bad about themselves, because that's not our intentions whatsoever.
So hopefully you guys kind of can sit back now and look into your own selves, and maybe there's another issue that you didn't really touch on that you used to have that you kind of feel like you don't have anymore.
Oh my goodness, yes. And a huge thing is my gambling issue. I knew as soon as you said that. Yeah, it's funny, a couple weeks ago now, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was a gambler. I've been a gambler my entire life. So a lot of my bullying and a lot of my overweight, and I hid it I didn't hide it, but I found food and gambling and 2 addictions. I guess you can just call me, I have huge addictions. I'm an addictive personality. And so I gambled a lot of money away, and I was in a lot of debt for a while. And after meeting Nick and just getting things back in order, and him helping me and finding a different way of spending my money and spending it in a smart way, I've always said that I was a gambler, and I will always be a gambler. And I finally can say, and I said this to Nick for once, and it's him. He cured me. And I never thought I'd be able to say that, but I know I'm no longer a gambler. I no longer have
believe
those tendencies.
There's certain things that he used to do that he doesn't do anymore.
I might do it from time to time.
No, but I mean, like scratch tickets.
I'll buy a scratch
tickets. He was so still obsessed with them, even up to a year ago, and he would constantly buy them over and over again. Now he can get some, and they sit in his bag for weeks, which would have never happened before now.
That's funny that you say that.
He's probably going to get some in his bag right now.
Because I have one right here in my hand, and this is how bad it was. Back in the day, I would scratch every single one of them, and I'd keep them in my bag, or I'd go cash them right away. This one has been in my bag for weeks. I didn't even scratch at all. I got bored when I was doing it.
And
I was like, oh my goodness, I'm bored.
For you was casinos.
And then I just scratched the barcode instead and found out it was a $3 winner. And I haven't cashed it in since. This was way before Christmas even.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing was casinos that you used to have.
Yeah, huge, and bingo.
Yeah, and bingo.
But bingo never here. It was in Windsor. Yeah. When I played bingo, I was in Windsor.
So, like we said, that's just a general, just to let you guys see more of a vision of what we are actually, our full story. You guys hear us the positive, but there's also some negative that we've had in our lives.
And a lot of that negative ended up making us eat a lot.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, this is just to show you guys that some of you watching out there probably are going through mental illness issues, or you have been bullied, or you have a gambling problem, a drinking problem. We all have problems. Talk about it. Find someone to help you out. If you have an issue and you need help, reach out. Even to us.
If you reach out to your HR. There's some employee assistance programs. A lot of companies have those. Reach out to your local community centers. There might be some free services that you can actually get.
Yeah.
It's really important that you talk about it, okay?
So thank you so much for watching. We are the WW Gays.
Yep.
You can follow us on any social media. Just use hashtag WW Gays. And don't forget to do hashtag That's Spelled Talk today.
And don't forget to subscribe to our videos and share them if you like, okay?
For sure. Thanks, everyone.
Don't forget to talk.
Bye.
Bye.